We're going to start off by pulling the strings. I'll try a pair of pliers here to see if I can get it to pull. There we go. And as you can see, these have a slot on it. If you've never strung a guitar before, the slot holds the stringed piece down there in place, and it kind of pushes it down in there. But so we're going to pull all of those out. My hope is that these are all loose enough that they don't come flying up. Some of these obviously still have a little tension on them, so I'm just going to continue to release them. All came out. Get a little bit of a rag down here. Might still be a little bit of tension on that one. There we go. Okay. Now all the strings, now that they're loose, I'm going to kind of set them to the side so that I can reach down into the sound hole to be able to drill holes for the jack insert and for the PreSys, Fishman PreSys system to be able to be put in. So we're going to start out by drilling the 1/4-inch jack hole on the back for this to be able to go into it, if you can see that. And I've actually got a piece of tape back here that I don't know if that is showing very well, but that piece of tape is there to kind of protect the finish a little bit so that my drilling on it is not going to disturb it too badly. Okay, so we've got the hole drilled back here, and we're just peeling the tape off right now. And of course, we'll wipe this whole guitar down once we're done to get it cleaned up properly. Focus here on our next portion of this, which is a cutout that shows us the hole the template that we want to put on. And I just printed that at full size from the Fishman site. And I'm going to take more of the tape that we used earlier to mask for the hole. Now, the area I want to go into is right here. Because when you're playing the guitar, this is the easiest to look at and be able to read the tuner or what any of your settings are. So we're going to want to locate this on here and try and find a fairly flat surface that we can match this up to. Being the curved guitar that it is, it's probably not going to be perfect, but we'll get it close. So I'm actually going to trim this down just a little bit so that my holes will still be on here, but I'll be able to apply the tape to it and have it stick fairly close. Once I've got my location and fairly centered and lined up, I'm going to put my tape on. I'm going on either side. I'm probably going to put some across the top and the bottom just to keep this thing as close as possible so that it's not rising up on us when we're cutting. The other part of this is we are going to use an X-Acto blade to cut the hole. I've found that people warn against using jigsaws and other stuff, which I can fully understand. It will end up tearing up your finish and destroying it, and that's not what we want. This guitar's 50 years old to start with. I don't need to add any more damage to it than it's already gone through. So we'll be using an X-Acto blade. You got a sharp one, obviously that's the best course of action. Now, this is going to take some time, especially since we are going to literally cut and trace this pattern all the way around. And once the paper is up, you're just going to keep cutting those lines. The downside of this is obviously it's going to take some time, so give yourself about anywhere from an hour, half hour to an hour. Can you go faster? Absolutely. I just like to take my time and get some nice exact cuts, because then I don't have to deal with trimming it out later, which you can do, but I prefer not to. So we've got our first round cut, and as you can see, no hole yet. So continue to cut around your pattern until you finally get through the surface. Now, I've already got my holes drilled here, and I put a couple in here just for the sake of being able to make these corners. I'm actually going to peel this off right now. And most people are going, no, don't do that. The reason I'm doing that is for the sake of being able to see what my razor is cutting. And I will continue to cut and get through this, but I just want to see where I've got some work to go here. There we go. So, and back to cutting. So I've got my hole. It's a little bit rough, and yeah, there was some chipping. I ended up having to go to a utility blade because I wasn't able to apply enough pressure with my surgical tool here. Basically, I'm going along with the X-Acto knife now, and I am trying to clean up that edge the best that I can so that I don't run into a fitment issue with the PreSys once we get to that point. So, these areas here I'm not too worried about. The lip or the edge of the PreSys controls will cover that. And so just about ready here to do a fitment test, just to see if I got to trim anything else out, or where I sit here. Okay, we're going to put those in first. And it just slides right in over like that. Lining up our holes. There. Pretty good. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. So, now, we've got few items that need to go on the inside of this thing, so I'm going to get them unpackaged at this point in time, and we will get to putting some screws in and attaching this before we go on to working on our bridge. Okay folks, so as you are putting the screws in, you're lining up these little tiny screws with the holes. Those screws need to go into these clips on the inside. You want the clip to make a C shape out away from the center of the unit, mostly for the sake of so that your clip here can lock in, and when this thing rotates up so that you can put the battery in, you are able to miss it on the back side. I've got the back one here started, and before I tighten those down, I wanted to get the front one started. And again, you're just going to have to get in there. You can lift the lid a little bit to get your bearings, but it's going to be a tight fit no matter what. What I recommend doing is putting the screw in first, and I'm using a PH0 screw driver, and you're going to turn it down in until you can feel the screw on the inside, so that when you're trying to line up the hole here, it's easier to do. And we're going to do that on both sides. Now granted, this is these screws are gripping the wood. I used a 1/16 inch bit to drill these, but I guarantee that, like any other piece of wood, it can strip out. The plastic here is to keep it nice and solid and not let this rip out over time. So definitely put your clips in. Don't go with just this. Some people may say, well, I'm going to glue this down. Really, I wouldn't recommend it. The the main part of that is if you've ever got to take this thing out to have it replaced or worked on, you're going to be trying to peel that glue up off of the finish on this, and I guarantee you're going to take more than you want, more than just the glue. So again, stick with what Fishman's got designed here. It's a good plan, and I'm going to keep going and get this lined up. So as you can see, I've got this all put in place and squared up and lined up how I want it to. So now I'm going to put the 1/4 inch jack into the back of the guitar where we drilled our hole previously. It's going to come with 2 washers, one serrated, one a flat washer. Those are going to go on the inside with the nut that's going to hold us up against the inside of the wood on the guitar. And then once that's pushed through, then we will have another washer and a thin nut to tighten up against the guitar wall with. Now that is not the finished product, because then you've got a finished piece that will cap it and make it look very much like it was meant to be a part of the guitar. Very good system so far that I've seen. Definitely excited to be putting this in this old guitar and see what it can do. But so now I'm going to kind of fish that in there. Lots of ways you can do this. Some people, if you've got some sort of a fishing tool that you can grab stuff with, that's great, but I wouldn't recommend it. The reason being is the end of this thing is probably a little bit bigger than the hole that we've drilled. Okay folks, so took a little bit of reaching, but I did finally get it threaded through and got the piece put on here. It took a little bit of time, so please be patient with this. Try not to rush. You don't want to be scratching things. You don't want to be ruining a perfectly good guitar. And yes, this could go here. I decided to put it a little bit lower. I like to keep some of the original of this guitar as is, but so putting it down here, it'll be able to feed off on my stage loop that I usually do. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the bridge. So I've actually got to go in and I'm going to pull the bridge out, and the white piece here, and I believe our wire is got to be drilled and come up through there. Now one of the things that they denoted on the Fishman site is that you've got to keep at least 1/8 of an inch, or 0.1 as they said, away from your first string. So the farther out that you can be away from this for your wire to come through, and that wire is this resonance pickup here, this copper wire loop. So the farther out that can go through before we lay it on here, and it's literally going to lay underneath this thing, that's what we're aiming to do. So I'm going to clean up my debris here a little bit. Don't want to lose some of these pieces. These will go in afterwards. These are to basically secure your strings or your wires out of the way so that they're not seen, so the guitar still has a clean look. Okay. Lay this guitar down here a little bit, and as you can see, I was able to easily grab the bridge and pull it out. Now don't forget the orientation that you pulled it out. As you can see, it's not equal, and you can actually mess with the sound of your guitar and the play action that you've got. So definitely one side that's higher and one side that kind of slopes off to come down. Now I'm going to feed this in up through a hole here that we drilled right next to the screw hole. It's going to take me probably just a second here to get it fed in. There it comes. Now, I'm going to pull this through a little bit more than I need to right now, just so that I can get this. So we're going to come through the hole, and we're actually going to place this just underneath it. I tried the other way with the with it on top, and it didn't work very well. There's just not enough room for the piece to sit back in there once everything is locked down. So we're going to simply put our pickup wire underneath, and we're going to start putting our attachment screws back down. And I say attachment screws, but they're really they're basically leveling screws. They're there to raise and lower the bridge so that you get the best playable action from your strings. And these are up just a little. Basically, you can adjust your neck and you can adjust your bridge to keep your strings nice and even over the entire guitar. It really brings out the flexibility of the guitar itself just by what they call playability. So when the strings are nice and close, you don't have to work as hard. If the strings are out of ways and you really have to push them in each time, it makes it a little more difficult to play. But there's a happy medium. I don't have the equipment right here and now to show you how to set those strings, but that might be something I can do in the future here. Okay, so we're going to put our bridge back on the same way that it came out. And now we're going to start putting our strings back. And we'll go one at a time back in the way they came out. Oh, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I need to get my my cords in here attached and out of the way. Zip tie it right to the piece, peel your sticker off the bottom, and just before I did that, you notice I was kind of positioning it down in there to see how far these cords were going to be able to reach back. I kind of want to get them back as far as I can out of the way. So I'm back about here, just on the top side of the bridge. Okay? Now, go back to starting to put our strings on. Again, look for that channel, because that's going to trap the string closest to the bridge. And of course, when you push that down in, that is going to pull it all tight. And it really helps to get the peg down onto your retainer bead. Let's see if I can get some of these strings out of the way so I don't pin them underneath. And we gotta love the way these strings are out to make our day the best that it possibly can be. Same thing again. Get it on top of the bead, push it all the way down, and make sure, of course, these are tight enough just to sit in the grooves that are on your bridge. One of the nice things about this Fishman 301 PreSys that I picked this out is it's got a mic blend. So on the back side of the Fishman itself, when you pull the clip, there is a microphone right here, and that's an internal mic. And then besides the mic, then we also did the resonance pickup. So you can make the guitar have a deeper sound, a more full sound, by the blending of the mic and the resonance pickup. So if you're kind of wondering, why did I go this route? Really, that was a big motivation for me in this one. Just because I like that deep, rich, full sound that this guitar has, and I'd love for the world to be able to hear it. And again, you want to just push these pegs down as far as you can with your fingers. Not really necessary to get them with a hammer or anything. If you're pushing them down finger tight, they should stay. And once the strings are pulled tight, they shouldn't rock it out of there. They should actually force these to go even tighter. Which, of course, in the end, when you're trying to get them to come undone, they're going to fight you. Now, if this was a tutorial to more or less restring your guitar, a lot of times you would get things up here situated and wrapped, but not first. You would actually want to put these in first and then stretch these up and tighten these here. Since I already had the other end of the guitar wrapped and strung at one point in time, I didn't want to undo that and was hoping to be able to reuse the strings that I had here. So that is the reason that I am kind of going the opposite direction of a typical stringing of a guitar. And of course, the one thing I didn't want to happen happened. Kind of all bound up at this point. Just a second, I'll get these situated. And then also, of course, making sure they go back in the right slots up here. Okay, again, just push them down tight with your thumb. And our guitar is back together. And basically I'm going to put a battery into this, and I'm going to tune it, and I'm going to give it a strum. I'll let you hear it when I'm done. Hi folks, Avenue Gates here. Just wanted to show you the finished product of the guitar that we installed the Fishman PreSys 301 on, and just wanted to play a little ditty by George Strait that kind of will demonstrate the guitar. I cross my heart and promise to give all I've got to give to make all your dreams come true. In all the world you'll never find a love as true as mine. Thanks for watching, people.